So I got this 60-pack box of pins. I wanted a whole bunch of pins that I could both use and give out, but I didn't want to spend too much. I think this is going to be a great deal. There are an assortment of colors in here. Yellows, reds, greens, pinks, and blues. Let's just take a look at this one. They are really light. Not much weight to these at all. They do have some rubber grippiness right there. Makes it easy to hold on to. A little bit of branding right there near the button. It's got a good clickiness to it. They come with this little cap on the ink pen. They do open up here at the top just by screwing it off. Does not show you how much ink is left in there. It's a white plastic encasing, so you can't see it. But given the price of these, I'm assuming it's not completely full. And like I said, they are very, very light. But let's try it out and see how it writes. It writes very easily, nice and black, nice and dark. Yeah, no problem at all with how it writes. And they are all black. So it doesn't matter what color the encasing is, it does write with black ink. As far as how much ink is in there, you know, I could do this all day probably. I'll tell you what, I will ruin one of these just to show you how much ink is in there. Let's take this back off. Take this apart. Not sure it's visible just by looking in there, but at the risk of making a mess, let's cut this open and see what we can find out. All right, here we go. So the casing measures almost 4.5 inches long. So let's start by cutting about an inch off and see if the ink goes up that far. It does not, although it does look black in there now, so I'm not sure how much more we need to cut off. Let's try another 1/2 inch or so. So I cut into the ink. I'm glad I didn't make a mess. So actually there's a lot more ink in there than I thought there would be. Out of the 4.5 inches, I cut about 1.5 inches off. So that means there's at least 3 inches of ink in there, which actually for a cheap pen, I think is really, really good. Sometimes you find these pens and barely half the tube is filled. This has almost 3/4 of the tube filled. And even more expensive pens always have a little bit of air at the top there. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. The pen itself is 6 inches long and a little more than 1/4 inch in diameter. And I do think that they look nice. So even though they're really cheap, really light, I think these are a great deal. I recommend them. If you'd like to purchase it, there's a link in the description. We get a small commission and it would really help us out. I'm Chris, and with my wife Abby's help, I'm on a quest to review literally everything sold on Amazon. So if there's something that you need a review of, literally just tell me. Let me know in a comment, and I'll literally buy it and just review it for you. Literally.
They tell me that I'm never gonna make it. They want me to do something that could make sense.